right, so we're back, and we're talking about 12 Angry Men. On our little break, Satchel, I looked up on the Wikipedia page. It says, story begins in New York City courthouse, where a 19-year-old Hispanic boy from a slum is on trial for allegedly stabbing his father to death.
Okay, got it.
You know what it says, too? It says, the judge, a visibly tired judge, instructs the jury to decide whether or not the boy is guilty of murder. And when that scene was unfolding, like this is like one of the opening shots. Yeah. I was just like, man, that judge, he just could not care less. And like the words he's saying are very, very powerful. Like, you're deciding whether or not to put this man away and possibly kill him.
Right.
But go make your decision. I'll see you when you get back. Like, it was very like, blah, like this is my job and I am doing it.
Yeah. And it made me think just how often things like that probably happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right? So in our last part, you were talking about
exactly.
jury duty.
When I was there, I mean, when I was there, I was passed around a lot. This was the first time I was doing jury duty. I somehow got out of it for some other situation. I think it was because it was while I was living in Philly. Somehow I was able to like avoid it. And
yeah, it's surprisingly easy. Like for the longest time, I was like, I'm a student.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes my boss would just call in and he would get me out of it. I was like, all right, cool.
Oh, nice.
I guess you have the power to do that.
You're her boss, I guess.
Yeah, you're a boss. So, yeah, when I was there, I was passed around. I think there was some kind of error or whatever, but I was passed around to a couple different cases. They eventually just had too many people, and I was like the fat that was like cut out of it. But what I got a glimpse of essentially was, now for me, I was excited about jury duty because I don't know, like
me too, man.
I like justice, especially when it's served well. So critically thinking about that, like that's part of our responsibility, and I was super excited to watch that VHS tape. But
yeah, right.
I don't think, just kind of reading the room, I don't think anyone else was really that interested in doing that, actually. They saw it more as a burden. A lot of people just wanted to get their work done and get out of there. And I found for a lot of people, especially for the trials that lasted a bit longer, they were completely unwilling to be a part of anything that wasn't like a petty thing that was like a day, Right. And the people who were stuck with it were the people who were stuck with it. Now, for me, I didn't actually get put on anything. Because they had me wait for the day, and they were certain that they would call my name, and they didn't, and they were like, whatever, we'll give you the form. You did your thing, even though you didn't do anything, and that was just that. But just, I don't know, just glimpses at like how things are run. I mean, especially in situations where I kept asking myself, if a unanimous decision was mandatory, and everyone was voting a certain way because they just wanted to go, what would I do? Like, would I be that person,
dude.
And I keep thinking that I will.
I think you would too, man. I think you're a good person that would, you would be the person that wants to treat everybody with respect. Like there was the guy, I think he was juror number 5. He was sitting next to the loudmouth guy. He seemed like the kind of guy, like he like stood up for the old man at that one point. I feel like you'd be that, not to like put us like which Sex in the City character,
right? No,
for 12 Angry Men, but like I feel like you'd be that kind of person.
The guy who,
he was kind of like a bigger, like not big. He was like he kind of like built like almost like a barrel chested dude who was just kind of like. He said something to the angry guy at some point. It was like, look, if you talk to that old man like that, I'm going to put you down.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So I got jury duty. This was several years ago. And I got chosen for a murder trial.
Oh, whoa. No way, dude.
Yeah, man. It was crazy. It was my first time doing jury duty, so that was interesting.
That's crazy.
And it was also like right after I got hired full time. So it was like, hey, thank you so much for the job. By the way, I got picked for jury duty. Yeah. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So it was like watching this, I was just like having these like flashbacks, like, oh my God, we like deliberated like that. And like, we had like discussions like that. Like the initial vote and stuff was like a thing that we did as well. I mean, we weren't as, one-sided as they were in the movie. It was a little more like almost like split down the middle a little bit, but same kind of thing, man. Like we went over all the facts of the case for an entire day, and then into the second day we kind of like wrapped it up and stuff. But like it was the same kind of thing, man. It was like the way in the film there's people letting their own not so much prejudices in my case, but more just like their own experiences, like bringing that into I found like a lot of people were like unable to separate that. Like there were like two like younger kids. They were probably a few years younger than me that kind of like didn't take the whole thing seriously. Like the one kid like fell asleep in court.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and then by the like so the way jury works is like there's 12 and then there's 2 alternates that they pick. Okay. So the alternates sit in the jury box and stuff in case something happens, like one of the jurors gets violently ill. And in our case, it was one of the jurors like is unable to stay awake for the reason. So one of our alternates stepped in and we had to kind of like do all that. But yeah, it was very much like that kind of stuff. It was very much like discussing all of these details of this case and trying to like decide who we believe from the witness stand and all of these things, man. It was crazy. It was probably like the most adult, probably like the second most adult thing I've ever done. Right. It was just like, you know, I remember I called my mom at one point. I was like kind of upset because like when they excused us first, and I could see like, you know, the victim's family, like the defendant family. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is like serious. Like we need to take this really seriously. It was crazy. But yeah, like the discussions that they were having were like discussions we were having, and that kind of like split. And there were, I think people like had that kind of,
are in the balance. Like,
yeah, man. And like people had that mentality like, well, you know, we could just get out of here. And it's like, well, like, let's take some time and figure this out, you know?
Like, this is and that's what made me think, like, for me, what shined out of that film more than anything was, like, the director helping us get a glimpse of how we perceive privilege, right?
Yeah.
Political privilege, and there's a whole bunch of different, like, facets of privilege, right? But, like, I mean, things like observing just how amazing democracy is and how many people like pine for something like that.
Sure,
and
man.
How we can toss it away because we see it as an inconvenience, and even in some ways how hard it is, how hard it seems, or just actually is to penetrate like a mentality that is just so fixated on, I don't know how you put it, like how you penetrate, like how to get someone to be compassionate, you know what I mean? Like
right
like how to not have someone just given to the pattern of letting statistics be the statistics that they are. And and I don't know, in some ways, like, it was really frustrating watching the film because of that. And I was so surprised that it came out in the 50s, because I was like, this feels so progressive. If you told me that this came out just now, I'd be like, finally a film like this. But it's not even the case, which actually makes me feel more hopeful and optimistic.
That these are problems that we're going to face all the time, you know, in different facets and different aspects that we're going to deal with. It's there's something reassuring, but there's also kind of something sad of it. It's like, well, it's just human nature to feel this way, but like we're trying to be better, you know, like we're getting better at it. You know what I mean? Like the problems that they were having in the 50s and like the are maybe not the ones we're having today. I don't know. Like, are we working on them? You know, I guess that's like a bigger question.
I think it's the same issues as today. It feels really relevant. Like,
it
feels really relevant. Like if that came out last year, I'd have been like, well, that's apropos. Like, it's super.
I think it's cool too, because I was reading, you know, this play has been like adapted and interpreted in a lot of different ways. There was a 1997 remake directed by William Friedkin, who's
I was just thinking like someone should remake this, and then I was like, wait, no, don't touch it.
No, dude, it's. I watched it. I put it on today, just like in the background, and just trying to observe some of the differences and stuff. And so obviously, like the first one was like it was not an all white old man cast, you know, like there was a lot of they were all men.
Right. Well, I thought it was interesting that they were all white because of that tension there. Like,
yeah, totally. And I think that like that adds to it. It's like there's something to say about like here's these white men trying to care for these underprivileged, what we learn is Hispanic kind of thing. That's nice. That's uplifting, you know.
Right.
In this newer version, this 1997 version, it seemed like there were a lot more. It was kind of weird because Edward James Olmos, who's this great Hispanic actor, was playing. I think he was playing like Russian or like European kind of thing.
Okay.
And then they had this one actor who had like a very heavy like European, like almost like Russian accent. He was the broker guy, the guy that never sweat. He played that guy.
Okay.
Right. And so it was just like a weird. I was like,
wait, was it same case? Like same? Characters?
Yeah, same kind of thing.
Oh.
Same like they. But in this one, they hold on like it opens up with the judge going through this stuff, and she's a lot more. The judge is female, and she's like much more passionate about it. Whereas our judge in the 1957 version was like very like blasé about it.
Yeah.
But they show the defendant, and there's much more visibly like Hispanic kind of thing. So that's a little more like portrayed in the movie. But then there's I think there's 4 African American guys in there. One is the guy who played Bubba in Forrest Gump.
Okay.
He plays the bigoted character. Like the guy who has like all like the bigotry issues, right?
Okay.
So he plays that guy, which I was like they were lining up, and I was like, wait, is that guy going to play that part? I was like, that's really interesting. I was like, that could be like an interesting spin on this thing. But he was like I'm trying to remember what his character name was. He is juror number 10. But they portrayed him as like a Nation of Islam kind of dude. So he gets up and he's like these Hispanics, and he's like using all these like racial slurs for like Hispanic racial slurs. He's like, they're coming into our neighborhood, brothers, and they're taking us. They breed so much, and pretty soon, like he says, like something like along the lines of like they're not going to be a minority anymore. They're going to be a majority, and then we need to watch out for our own. And I was like, whoa. This is like a total different spin on that kind of thing. Yeah. I was like, that's interesting. And I feel like watching it like that, it kind of made me be like, wow, this really is a timeless kind of thing that can be updated and reinterpreted and still have that same kind of bite that it had back then.
Definitely.
The one thing that was kind of weird was Tony Danza played the loudmouth guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was very much, I got to get to that ball game. We got to go, guys, all right? Oh, dude, one thing I noticed, too, I thought that was really interesting. So that guy was talking about getting that to the baseball game the whole time.
Right.
And then that was like he was like, hey, look, we got to finish this up because I got to get to this thing. And then this force of nature happens. It starts raining.
Right.
And like his is just like gone. He's like, well, now what do I do? You know what I mean? And it was at that point in the film that the vote is like 6-6. So it's almost like this like literal tide shifting. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, the water tide, that's cool. Yeah, that was really interesting. One thing I like too in as they started shifting and getting more votes for the not guilty, I like that they did that every once in a while. They did like the recount.
I know,
like
the nice little checkpoint, and it just how did it even get there? I kept thinking, how did we get here? how is this turning around?
as they start like checking them down, you're like, okay, cool, we got 2.
Yeah,
now
that's
we got
how
3.
I felt. Yeah,
but there's still 9 more. How are we gonna convince all these other guys? And then
and that amazing performance at the end for the last one. Oh my god, it was so amazing. It was so believable.
That guy does such a good job. Just very much like you really do feel for me. Like, wow, he really lost contact for his son, and has like, he feels like the father. He took the father's side in this thing, and feels like he's been murdered by his own son, and that's where he's coming from with it.
Yeah.
I really liked when everything was kind of going more toward the not guilty favor. Like they started doing the recount, and there was like a close up of just hands, so you didn't get a sense of like who. It was like really great inserts because you couldn't see who was voting until like the reveal at the end. There was a wide at the end where there's just 3 kind of holdouts.
Right.
Just really well done. Really, really interesting. It was cool.
It was really well done.
Something from our traveler's log. One of our listeners, Man Taboo, says that he or she played juror number 4 in their high school production of this.
Oh, that's so cool that they got to do that.
That's cool. It says they did a gender-neutral 12 Angry Jurors. It was a blast. Got to put the knife in the table at one point. Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I'm guessing. So this is just like a thing that everyone knows about. We just didn't. I guess.
Yeah, it's just something that like it was. I heard it was a great movie, and it just kind of like worked out. It's just really appropriate. Yeah, it was just really, really nice. Really interesting. So yeah, I mean, we touched on like a lot of the great stuff from the movie and stuff, and I wonder. I feel we talked about how like this is kind of like a timeless movie, and I do kind of feel like it was cool to see going through like the judicial process was like 50 years, 60 years later, I guess at this point, we're still doing that and it's still working for the most part. Right. Like this system that we set up with the 12 people coming together and having to decide on a verdict, like is still the way we do things. It's cool to see that. And, one thing that is interesting, and I feel like they touch on it in the movie, is that just because like guilty is a very finite thing. Like you committed this crime, but the way our system is set up, like not guilty isn't. I don't think that's an appropriate like verdict for it, because not guilty doesn't mean that you didn't do it. It just means that there wasn't enough evidence to prove that you did do it.
Right,
you know what I mean? So I feel like that was like a focus of the movie. Yeah, you're innocent until proven guilty, and like the movie kind of like the movie touches on that, where it's like they're asking him when they first find out that he's not going to vote guilty. They're like, "Well, do you think he did it?" He's like, "I don't know. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about
exactly." Meanwhile, everyone else was like, "I just feel like he was guilty."
Yeah, they were going off their like gut reaction of it. Yeah. Good stuff, man. I really enjoyed that movie.
I did too. I think it's just such a critical. Yeah, it's one of those films where I just feel like everyone should watch it. Everyone should watch it, and they should think about. They should make it a goal to be that guy in every facet of their life.
Yeah, man, like that guy. You're right, man. He was our hero. He was the hero that we need in a society like that, and it was actually kind of nice that he got that moment at the end with the old man who was he was just like, "Well, what's your name?" You know, we were like, "Oh, we got to put
that was nice,
an actual name to the face."
And then it was just like so long, like it really was just for that moment. That like personal touch was just for that moment.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, is he gonna ask him to, like, is there going to be any more development past that? Or is it just going to be, cool, good to meet you, see you later?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was interesting. Well, cool, man. I thought that was a lot of fun. What's our next film going to be, Satchel?
Our next one is going to be The Puffy Chair, directed by the Duplass Brothers, came out in 2005. I suggest everybody watches it for that one if you haven't seen it yet. the way I kind of describe it is it is essentially our generation's contribution to film, like the millennial contribution to film. It's our sort of take on what it means to be personal, given our resources, and it's all around. It's a good movie.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Was not familiar with it, so I'm excited to watch it because if you say it's good, then I know it's going to be good. And I'm interested to see, like, this millennial take on cinema. I watched this movie. I followed its progress a lot. I guess it was like 2006, 2007, I guess. It was called Four-Eyed Monsters.
That! I need to watch that. About? That's the other one. That came out the same time.
Cool.
I was going to say, the Puffy Chair, that came out the same time as Four-Eyed Monsters. And those movies, they get grouped together often.
Do they?
Yeah, they get grouped together very often. I was just watching this. That's what I wanted to send you. Nick, there's so many things I wanted to send you this week. And I just held back because I was like, I don't want to spam. But I watched this this series, this internet series called I forgot what it's called. The Film Fellas, like Goodfellas, but Film Fellas.
Oh, cool.
And it's just like this round table with like directors and filmmakers and like young and old filmmakers. Yeah. They just sit at this round table. It's well shot, and like they just eat dinner and they talk about like, what film was like, the future of film they think it is, like what the internet has to offer to that conversation, like how is it different, like everyone has a dream of like ending up in a theater, but does that really even make sense considering you reach out to significantly less people in such an environment? Like, and they brought on the director and a whole bunch of other people that had a big influence in Four-Eyed Monster. And
interesting.
They were just, oh my gosh, the way they were going at it was awesome. I was like, I love you guys. Now I need to watch your movie. Yes.
That's cool.
We need to watch that soon.
Yeah, maybe we'll do these two, not in the same episode. Maybe we'll do them back to back. That might be an interesting kind of like
that'd be cool.
Point counterpoint kind of thing.
Yeah, and then we'd be able to draw more about like, I don't know, I guess how we communicate things,
Yeah.
Because one thing that I got out of Puffy Chair that I really like, it's so hard to describe it because it's just something that's so like, I guess it's something that's so intertwined with like who we are in a kind of way. When I watched it, I was just like, man, I'm jiving with this in this like super specific way. Like I can't describe exactly what it is, but a lot of this like relational tension, is just like hitting home in this really cool way. Or maybe I was just like bummed out at the time. Maybe I was just in another place at the time when I saw it. I probably was. But nonetheless, I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it. I'm interested in hearing the community's thoughts about it.
I'm interested to, now that we're like talking more about it, I'm like, it does start to sound like familiar. Like I remember the Duplass Brothers, like everybody was like, oh my god, these guys are like the next thing, and then on my end I kind of like lost touch with them, and I just kind of like didn't hear too much from them. I mean, I see Mark is in like The League and stuff, which like is a funny show, but I know I was like, oh, who's in The League? And I saw this guy and I was like, oh, there's one of the Duplass Brothers. That's awesome.
And
that's
then
cool.
that chick, that's the dude's wife, the Equip Monk dude's wife. That's his wife. That's his real wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She plays opposite him in like almost all their movies. She always has a spot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, did they do Jeff Who Lives at Home?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man, dude. They are like indie film superstars. Like,
yeah, dude. They did it.
Yeah, dude, they did Safety Not Guaranteed. They produced Safety Not Guaranteed, which I heard is great. We should do on here.
Yes.
And then the Skeleton Twins I've been meaning to watch. Oh, very cool.
Oh, I haven't seen the Skeleton Twins.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that. Okay, very cool. All right, so we're going to do the Puffy Chair next time. I realized last time we recorded, I didn't read any reviews, so I'm going to read one or two real quick. I totally forgot. Here's a quick one by 88888DDDDD. It says, "Hella awesome podcast." That is so nice.
That's what's up.
Here's a great one from Dr. Malcolm. I don't know if he's really a doctor, but maybe he is, maybe he's not.
Are you a dentist? Mr. Malcolm? Are you just a dentist?
Or are you just an optometrist? Could you perform surgery on us? That's
the real
doctor.
question.
That's a real doctor, yeah. An in-depth movie discussion by two well-spoken men in a relaxed atmosphere. As someone with a blind spot for multi-layered interpretation of films, Satchell and Nick guide me through their analysis in a clear and understandable way, allowing me to appreciate the depth of some films I may have missed. Every episode, pure gold. Very nice.
Thanks a lot. That means a lot coming from a doctor.
Yeah. That guy went through medical school and he thinks we're pretty good. Yeah. I'll read one last one from The Serial Hobbyist, that's a great name.
That is a cool name.
That's a very cool name. That's a good podcast name. Start that. It says, "Really great podcast. Sorry, Cinecast. For serious talk and analysis of movies. If you're a movie person, give it a listen." Very nice. Very nice, guys. Thank you so much.
Seriously.
As always, stuff like that helps us out immensely. It gives us more presence in the iTunes store. So give us your honest thoughts about the show and what you think. We really appreciate it. And check us out on our website, catelecast.com.
YouTube.com/CATelecast, Twitter.com/CATelecast. And
Facebook.com/CATelecast.
Yeah.
And then...
we gotta find out how to get an iTunes URL. People have it. I don't know if that's like an exclusive
really like a
thing
unique
or like
thing.
Yeah, like I know like there's this other podcast. I can't remember what it is, but like they definitely have like custom URLs. That'd be tight.
Do they? Okay,
we'll get one to make it easier for you guys.
We'll look into it. That'll be cool. All right.
Tight, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Satchel, thank you for watching this film with me.
Dude, of course. Dude, thanks for suggesting it. I found my favorite film, dude.
Oh, nice, man. Dude.
I'm floating.
I'm hoping that the Puffy Chair will be mine. I like, this works out really nicely. I like when it's fun when we both have seen a movie, so we have a lot to talk about, which is cool. But then it is kind of cool when we haven't seen a movie. There's still a lot to talk about. Definitely. And then on top of that, when it's a movie that one of us has seen and one of us is experiencing for the first time,
definitely,
there's even more to talk about. It's like a win-win-win-win-win situation here.
That's right.